Welcome back, boys and girls. I'm Miss Rebecca, and we have with us a very special guest from the Science Museum, the one, the only Mr. Science. Let's give him a big hand, boys and girls.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here today, boys and girls. And today we're going to talk about a very, very special subject. And it's not what you might want to talk about, because I know all kids are crazy about something called dinosaurs, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're not talking about that today. Oh, darn. What we're really going to talk about is a creature that actually lived in the savannah area a long, long time ago after the reign of the dinosaurs. And it was called a mammal. And there was lots of kinds of mammals. And before I tell you the one that I have here today, we're going to talk about some of the other ones. Did you know in Savannah at one time there was a 500-pound beaver living here?
500
500? Can you imagine trying to move a 500-pound beaver out of your yard? You get out of here. Go on, get out. What? You have a question?
If he sat on you, you would get squashed.
Whoa, yes, you would. A 500-pound beaver, huh? That'd be awful. Also, did you know there was some wide-horned bison that used to live in this area, too? Did you know that?
Right here on the island?
Yes.
Amazing.
And also, there used to be a humongous shark that lived in the ocean called Carcharodon megalodon, which had big, huge teeth, bigger than that one that you saw in that movie Jaws that time. And it went, ah, as it went through the water.
I like Joe.
Oh, you did, huh? Well, who knows what skull this is right here? You do? What is it?
Mammoth.
It's a mammoth. That's right. That's right. This was known as the ground sloth. And I want you to try and say the Latin name for it, okay? That's a little tough. It's a long word, Miss Rebecca, but I think they can do it here at the Creative Clubhouse, don't you?
Hey, they can do it.
All right. It's called Erymatheria mirabla. Let's break it up a little bit.
Erymatherium
Matherium mirabla.
mirabla.
Everybody, Erymatheria mirabla.
Erymatherium mirabla.
Okay. Well, right here we have the skull of the Erymatheria mirabla, the ground sloth. And what that meant in Latin was solitary beast. And what's the first thing you notice about this skull? Who can tell me? Yes.
It's teeth.
It's teeth. Yes, very good. Let's look at the teeth.
They're made for meat and plants.
Well, you might think they were meant for meat because they're a little bit sharp there like that. But they're more peg-like teeth, aren't they? More like the teeth that you have in your own mouth. And this suggests to scientists that they weren't meat eaters, but actually they were plant eaters. Okay, and you remember that because later on there's going to be something you'll need to know about plants, okay? Remember that the sloth was a plant eater, and we see this because of the teeth. Now, what's the other thing you notice about the sloth skull? Yes, sir?
It looks like it had horns when it comes up right about there.
It looks like that, but it didn't have horns. Let's give somebody else a chance to ask a question. Sir, right here, what do you think about the sloth skull? What's the first thing you notice about it? Is it big or small?
Big.
It's big.
How much does this weigh?
Well, I don't know the actual weight, but I do know how tall it was. It was tall as a telephone pole. Wow, can you imagine that? That's the biggest ones. We have one at the Science Museum that's a medium-sized sloth, and it's not quite that big. And it's hunched over, and you can see it there any time. You should go see it sometime with your mom and dad and have fun with that. There was also one that was found off St. Simon's Island that was so big they could fit a Volkswagen Beetle in the chest cavity. Can you imagine that? That's big, isn't it? Now, do you have something you might want to think about this? What would you think this here, do you think that would cause it to have a long tongue or a short tongue? What do you think? It would have a long tongue. And it used to use that long tongue to pull down leaves from the trees. Yes, ma'am?
And it also had big tusks.
No, this didn't have tusks. You're thinking about the woolly mammoth, which also did live in the savannah area. Okay? So those were all creatures that lived in the savannah area at one time. Now, do you think that the sloth is still alive today?
No.
Not the one that we see here, but the baby sloth. Now, this one was in Central America. This is a tree sloth, and it's still alive today. Want to feel that? There you go. It's furry, isn't it? Our ground sloth was furry just like that, too. Let's look at the claw. Miss Rebecca will hand that to me. Look at this. This is the claw of the ground sloth, and it used to use this claw to dig potato-like roots from the ground. It ate those, too.
I'd hate to be stuck.
So the sloth was a plant eater. It wasn't a meat eater. And you know where the first bones of the sloth were found?
Where?
On Skidaway Island. You know where that is? That's on the south side of the town where that big state park is. They found sloth bones out there, and they brought them back and recreated what the sloth looked like. And again, you can see the one at the Science Museum. They're real neat. Right now, I'm going to bring out a friend of mine, and we're going to have some fun with this good friend. He just happens to be a puppet, and his name is Silly the Sloth. Hi, boys and girls. I'm Silly the Sloth. Whee! Hey, Silly. Why don't you tell everybody why you're here today?
Well, hey, could you scratch behind my ear, to the left? More? Oh, I've got a flea. Hey! I'm going to give a pop quiz today about sloth.
Wow, we love pop quizzes here at the Creative Clubhouse. Go ahead.
Okay, who can tell me what sloths eat?
Plants.
Or meat?
Plants.
Hey, that's great. Now a tougher question. Where were the first bones of a sloth found?
Everybody, Skidaway Island.
Hey, good job. And now my last question. Are you going to sing my song?
Your song?
Yes, my song.
I guess we are. Let's have some fun with this, okay? Once was a sloth named Silly, and what a sloth was he. He liked to eat lots of roots and plants, oh yes, sirree. We found his bones on Skidaway on the south side of this town. No, he's not a dinosaur, but a mammal we have found. Why don't you clap along, everybody? Once was a sloth named Silly, and what a sloth was he. He liked to eat lots of roots and plants, oh yes, sirree. We found his bones on Skidaway on the south side of this town. No, he's not a dinosaur, but a mammal we have found. Now, if you know the song, you can sing along, okay? But keep on clapping. Once was a sloth named Silly, and what a sloth was he. He liked to eat lots of roots and plants, oh yes, sirree. We found his bones on Skidaway on the south side of this town.
Wow, thanks for doing that, Mr. Science. I gotta go, boys and girls. Bye. See you.
All right, bye, Silly. And I gotta go too. I'd like to thank you on behalf of the Science Museum for having me here, and thank Miss Rebecca and the Creative Clubhouse for having us here too. I sure did have fun.
We're glad you were here, Mr. Science. Let's give him another great big hand.
Thanks a lot,
We
everybody.
learned so much today about the sloth. That was great. We're going to be back in just a little bit, boys and girls. We'll have with us the Beaufort County Animal Control people. They're going to bring baby kitties and baby puppies. You want to stay tuned.